Hi there, Steve here. I hope you had a great Christmas. Lots of nice presents. I know it's very cold in some parts of North America. Not so cold here, but colder than usual. Today I want to talk about the KISS system. Keeping it simple in language learning. Remember, if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe. Before I get into the subject, a couple of comments in response to some of the comments that I've seen here. First of all, anyone that uses a foul language, their comment will be removed. I know it's become quite acceptable to use all kinds of words today that in my day we wouldn't have used in polite company, but I'm a little older, so I don't go for that. So if anybody uses foul language, I will remove there's a good chance that I'll remove their comment. Point number one. Point number two, there was a comment about I did some videos where I spoke a few languages and I tried to speak 4 or 5 Slavic languages, kind of bungled them all. Some people were critical. But language learning for me is not about perfection. Every one of those languages, whether it be Polish or Slovak, which I don't know very well, I've had an exposure to them, I have some sense of what they are. If I go to those countries, I can use them. Anytime I go back to reading or speaking in those languages, I can only improve. So to me, it's all good. So I don't apologize for the fact that I'm less than perfect in many languages. I enjoy them all. That was basically it. Now let's get to keeping it simple. So I am struggling with Arabic, and I remind myself as I'm struggling that every time I start a new language, I struggle. It seems as if nothing is going to stick. We keep forgetting the same things. I make the same mistakes on the same Arabic letters. The vocabulary, it seems, very slowly am I adding to my known word count. But I've been there before. So I know from experience that I just have to put in the time. But how do you put in the time when you don't understand what you're listening to, you have so much trouble reading, and so forth? And there, my solution is to do a lot of simple things and to vary it, all right? So, I have my mini stories. I can read through the mini story on my iPad. Every time I read through it, I can, highlight not only a word but a phrase. When I highlight the phrase, I hear it. When I then click on a word, I hear the individual word, then I hear the individual phrase. Sometimes I read the word without hearing the text-to-speech, which is more difficult, or I do it while listening to the text-to-speech. Then I will we can control like 5 seconds of the natural audio. So I can then listen to 5 seconds corresponding to what I had just listened to in text-to-speech. So that's another thing that I can do. Then as I turn the page, I can do the different activities. So if I set my keypad to Arabic, then I just do dictation. I don't do anything else. I just do dictation. And it's a very good way to kind of strengthen my hold on the on the Arabic letters. And I'm getting more of them right first time around. I'm very encouraged every time I get the yellow, either correct or close. But most of the time I still get a red X, but that's okay. So I do the dictation. Or, because we can change in the settings, you can change which activities you do. So then I'll eliminate dictation and I'll just do flashcards and multiple choice. And then I have my English keypad there because sometimes I want to change the definition, the hint, the translation that appears. I want to be in my English keyboard. So I'll go through some of the same words, reviewing them again in flashcards and activities, but without the dictation. So again, it's a variety of things. And I'm not sort of concerned about how much progress I'm making. Oh, and the other thing I do is I go through the same story now, and in LingQ I can set it so that I only see, this is only true on the web-based version. We're going to have it on the app, but it's not there yet now, and that is that I can look at one sentence at a time. So even on my iPad, I go to the web version, and then I go through the story one sentence at a time. And I can, again, listen to one word, listen to 3 words. And then very often it's easy, the sort of one sentence that shows up is sometimes quite close to the 5-second rewind that we have on our human audio. So I'll, work my way through the sentence, and then I'll listen to the human audio, and then I go to the next sentence. So I'm going through the story in different ways. I'm doing the same basic task: listening, reading, reviewing, doing it in slightly different ways so that I don't get bored. Now, I also go and leaf through my little grammar book where I'm made aware that, the verbs in Arabic, that there's only two tenses and the endings change, and sometimes the suffix can change depending on what the tense is. In the, call it present or imperfect form, then the suffix can also change. There's a bunch of stuff there about hollow verbs and other stuff that I've kind of read through but can't really relate to yet, but it's useful background so that I'm a little more aware of what's happening when I'm listening and reading, and I just keep doing that. And I've listened to the stories 40 times, 30 times, depending on which story, and continue not to understand most of it. But I know that's having a beneficial effect on my pronunciation and also on my listening comprehension, because I hear the words, I just don't know what the words are, but I've now trained my brain to distinguish, to hear, not always, but largely, what the words are. So that when I have more vocabulary, then natural speed is not going to be a problem for me. So all of this is just doing kind of repetitive tasks, simple tasks, trying to vary it, and gradually getting used to the language. Not trying to, whenever I get into these grammar books, when very often they'll have the usual dialogue, Mohammed arrives from Algeria and all this kind of stuff. But I find that not as easy for me as just this kind of mindless, I wouldn't call it effortless, because there's an effort involved in reading and listening, but I'm not frustrated by my lack of progress. I mean, I've said that I'm frustrated, but then I remind myself, already now I am so much more familiar with the Arabic alphabet than I was even 2 weeks ago. There's so many words now that I understand. I hear the sounds more clearly. So if I can achieve that much progress in a couple of weeks, well, in another 2 weeks and another month and so forth, I will only get better. So I think it's important not to be too demanding of yourself. Try and assign yourself a sort of a variety of simple tasks that you can continue to do that keep you engaged with the language, built around mostly listening and reading. And believe in the process, believe in your ability. And, I mentioned this because, oh yes, this was another comment. Somebody commented that they were disappointed with my last video because I talked about religion and politics, and that's not what they come here for. I believe it's important to talk about politics. I don't mind talking about religion, and I don't talk about it a lot on this channel, but I do tweet about it, and I tweet on a number of things, for those of you who follow my Twitter account. And one of the things I tweeted about was this new math system where they discovered that the modern approach to teaching math is too complicated. It requires kids to work in teams and to conceptualize, and everything is made too complicated. And if instead they reduce math to simple, repeatable tasks that kids can actually do and get a sense of satisfaction from, then we find that no longer are there poor math learners, kids who are poor at math and kids who are good at math. It's just everybody learns. And I believe the same is true for language learning. If we can give people simple tasks, listening and reading, reviewing, don't worry about what you can achieve. Don't worry about what you forget. Don't worry about what you say wrong grammatically. Just keep exposing yourself through these continued activities, and then we can all be good language learners. And at a certain point, as we gain traction, we move on to more interesting and more meaningful content, but we still continue exposing ourselves to the language, occasionally reviewing some explanations that probably help us notice things in the language. So there you have it. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all a happy new year if I don't see you before the new year, but I think I might. Okay, bye for now.